Listen to me. Greatness is not an accident. Greatness doesn't show up at your door and introduce itself. Greatness is something you fight for, something you bleed for, something you earn when nobody is watching. Every single one of you in this room has something inside you. But the question is, are you willing to push yourself to reach it? You keep saying you want success, you want change, you want the next level. But wanting is not enough. Desire without discipline is a dream that dies in your hand. You don't get greatness with wishful thinking, you get greatness with work, with sacrifice, and with the type of hunger that makes you do what others refuse to do. Some of you have convinced yourselves that average is acceptable. You wake up when you feel like it. You give effort only when it's convenient. You quit the moment things get uncomfortable. And then you look at somebody living their dream and you think they got lucky. They didn't get lucky, they got discipline. Hear me, comfort is the enemy of greatness. The moment you get comfortable, you stop growing. The moment you stop growing, you stop winning. You cannot become extraordinary by doing what ordinary people do. You must push yourself. You must stretch yourself. You must be willing to pay the price. You say you're tired, good. You say you're stressed, good. You say life is hard, good. That means you're in the arena. That means you're fighting. What you're feeling right now isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign you're getting closer. I'm telling you, every breakthrough begins with pressure. Diamonds are created under pressure. Muscles grow under pressure. Champions rise under pressure. When life squeezes you, don't break focus. When life tests you, don't panic. Push. When life knocks you down, don't cry. Get up and swing again. Greatness comes when you stop negotiating with your excuses. Greatness comes when you stop blaming people for the life you refuse to fix. Greatness comes when you decide, I'm done running from hard things. Success doesn't start on the stage. It starts at 5 a.m. when the alarm rings and you get up anyway. It starts when you decide to study one more hour, run one more mile, make one more call, take one more step. That's where greatness is built, in the unseen, uncelebrated moments. You've got potential, you got talent, but without effort, potential means nothing. Without discipline, talent is wasted. Without consistency, passion dies. So today, right now, you make a decision. I'm gonna push myself to greatness. Not next week, not next month. Today, push past the excuses, push past the fear, push past the pain. Because on the other side of that push is the person you were created to become. That greatness requires discipline, not desire. People talk about greatness like it's something you can buy on sale or pick up when the timing feels right. But it doesn't work like that. Desire is cheap. Everybody wants something. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants money. Everybody wants the next level. Everybody wants to change their life, but wanting does not move you. Wanting is not a strategy. Wanting is not a plan. Wanting is not work. Desire is the spark, but discipline is the engine that keeps the fire burning long after motivation fades. You can sit in your room and say you want to be successful. You can write it in your journal. You can pray about it. You can dream about it. You can talk to your friends about it. But if you cannot discipline yourself to get up and work, even when you don't feel like it, your desire will stay desire. It will never transform into progress. It will never turn into results. And what hurts the most is knowing deep down that you had potential, you had talent, you had gifts, you had the calling, but you never created the discipline to carry it to the finish line. Discipline is the painful part. Discipline is the uncomfortable part. Discipline is what takes your excuses, crushes them, and replaces them with action. Discipline is waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning when the world is quiet and your body is begging for more sleep. Discipline is saying a no to distraction, a no to what feels good in the moment, a no to shortcuts that promise results but never deliver. Discipline is refusing to negotiate with your weaker self. Discipline is telling yourself, I said I would do it, so I'm doing it, and actually following through. Most people think greatness is about doing something extraordinary once in a while, but it's not. Greatness is about doing something ordinary with extraordinary consistency. It's making the same choice again and again and again. The choice to show up, the choice to try, the choice to sacrifice comfort for growth. And let's be real, discipline isn't glamorous. Nobody claps for you when you're practicing alone in your room. Nobody celebrates you when you study late at night while your friends sleep. Nobody praises you for eating clean when everybody around you is eating whatever they want. Discipline is a lonely road, but greatness is built on that road. Desire shows up when you feel inspired. Desire shows up when you see someone else winning and you think, I want that. Desire shows up when you watch a motivational video or hear a powerful speech or wake up feeling energized. But desire doesn't stay. Desire doesn't survive difficulty. The moment you get tired, desire leaves. The moment you feel stressed, desire disappears. The moment the work gets hard, desire hides. Discipline is the only thing that stays. Discipline is the only thing you can count on. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. Discipline is action, not emotion. People say they want greatness, but they don't want the discipline that greatness demands. They want the dream, not the work. They want the reward, not the sacrifice. They want the applause, not the grind. But that's not how life works. Life pays you based on what you consistently work for, not what you casually wish for. You can desire financial freedom all day long, but if you won't discipline yourself to manage your money, study, invest, and make better decisions, desire won't save you. You can desire a better body, but if you won't discipline yourself to exercise, to eat right, to push past your comfort zone, desire won't transform you. You can desire a stronger mindset, a more successful career, a healthier relationship, but without discipline, that desire is nothing more than a hope floating in the air. And discipline isn't something you do once. It's a commitment you renew every single day. That's what separates the great from the average. The average person acts when they feel inspired. The great act even when they feel exhausted. The average waits for motivation. The great rely on discipline. The average lets circumstances dictate effort. The great decide effort ahead of time and stick to it. The average stops when it hurts. The great continue until the work is finished. When people look at successful individuals, athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, they see the glory but miss the grind. They see the results but not the routine. They see the fame but not the failure. They see the moment of victory but not the lifetime of discipline that led up to it. You don't see the early morning, the late nights, the practice, the sacrifices, the setbacks, the rejections, the discipline it took to keep going after everyone else quit. Success is the tip of the iceberg. Discipline is everything beneath the surface. Discipline also means doing what you know you need to do, even when nobody is forcing you. That's the real test. Anybody can work hard when someone is watching. Anybody can push themselves when there's accountability. But discipline is who you become when the lights are off, the cameras are gone, and the applause disappears. Discipline is who you are in private. Greatness grows in the dark long before it is seen in the light. The hardest part about discipline is that the results are delayed. You don't see instant change. You don't get immediate success. You don't receive fast rewards. You keep working, and sometimes you don't see progress for weeks or months. That's where most people quit. They think lack of results means they should stop. But lack of results is not a sign. It's a sign. It's a sign to continue. The seed grows underground long before it breaks through the soil. Discipline keeps you watering it even when nothing seems to be happening. There will be days when discipline feels like a burden. Days when your mind fights you. Days when your body rebels. Days when your environment tries to pull you back into old habits. But these are the days that matter the most. These are the days that build your character. These are the days that strengthen your mental toughness. These are the days that separate the person who says they want greatness from the person who actually achieves it. You gotta learn to push yourself, even when motivation is gone. You've gotta learn to show up even when you don't feel like it. You've gotta learn to keep your commitments to yourself, even when nobody else cares. Because if you break promises to yourself, you can't trust yourself. You can't trust yourself. You'll never go all the way. Discipline builds trust within. Discipline builds confidence. Discipline builds self-respect. Every time you do what you said you do, you strengthen the relationship with yourself. Every time you follow through, you become the kind of person who finishes what they start. Some of you have the desire for greatness, but you don't have the discipline for greatness. You want the next level, but you don't want the lifestyle that the next level requires. You want to grow, but you don't want to give up the habits that keep you small. You want blessings, but you don't want boundaries. You want success, but you don't want structure. You want the crown, but you don't want the cross. It doesn't work that way. You cannot wish your way to greatness. You have to work your way to greatness. And not just work, you have to discipline your way there. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Desire might get you to start walking, but discipline gets you to the end. Desire might help you take the first step, but discipline helps you take every step after that. Desire might excite you, but discipline transforms you. The truth is simple. The version of you that you want to become can only be created through disciplined action. That is the foundation of greatness. That is the fuel for success. That is the difference between wishing for a better life and building a better life. Comfort will kill your potential faster than failure ever will. People are so afraid of failing that they stay in the same place their whole life, not realizing that the real danger isn't falling down. It's never moving at all. Comfort is silent, sneaky, and deadly. It doesn't attack you suddenly. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't scare you. It slowly steals your ambition, your hunger, your fire, your creativity, your growth. Comfort whispers or relax. You're fine. You can do it tomorrow. And while you listen, your dreams get further and further away. Failure has a purpose. Failure teaches. Failure sharpens. Failure toughens you up. Failure is feedback. It shows you where to improve, where to focus, where to rebuild. Failure makes you resilient. You can bounce back from failure. You can learn from failure. But comfort doesn't give you anything back. Comfort take. Comfort subtract. Comfort blinds you to what you're capable of. Comfort convinces you that average is acceptable. Comfort allows you to live below your calling without feeling guilty about it. People think that comfort is safe, but the truth is that comfort is the most dangerous place you can live in. Nothing grows in comfort. Nothing expands in comfort. Nothing transforms in comfort. Comfort is the graveyard where dreams are buried alive, where talents decay, where potential never sees the light of day. You weren't built to stay the same. You weren't designed to settle. You weren't created to fit into a life that requires nothing from you. Every person who has ever accomplished anything significant had to make a choice to step away from comfort. They had to step into the unknown. They had to stretch. They had to risk. They had to try. They had to push themselves into situations that were uncomfortable, uncertain, unfamiliar. That's where growth happens. That's where breakthroughs happen. That's where greatness is found. On the other side of the comfort zone. Comfort tells you you're okay where you are. Comfort tells you you've done enough. Comfort tells you you don't need to push any harder. But the reality is, the moment you listen to comfort is the moment you stop progressing. Success is not about how many times you get it right. It's about how many times you're willing to challenge yourself. You cannot grow muscles without resistance. You cannot grow mentally without challenges. You cannot grow spiritually without struggle. You cannot grow in life while staying in the same safe space. Comfort disguises itself as peace. You think you're choosing peaceful living, but what you're really choosing is stagnation. Peace isn't the absence of discomfort. Peace is the presence of purpose. True peace comes from knowing that you are moving forward, evolving, expanding, becoming the best version of yourself. Comfort looks like peace, but it's fake. It's a trap that keeps you from confronting the very limitations that are holding you back. Some of you stay in comfort because you're protecting yourself from disappointment. You say, if I don't try, I can't fail. But listen to me. If you don't try, you've already failed. You failed before you even started. You failed by default. You failed yourself. At least when you try, you give yourself a chance to win, a chance to grow, a chance to learn, a chance to surprise yourself. Fear of failure keeps people comfortable, but comfort keeps people broken. Comfort is the enemy of potential. The moment you choose comfort, you choose to stay the same. The moment you choose to stay the same, you choose to waste the gifts inside you. You choose to shrink. You choose to dim your light. You choose to live beneath your purpose. You were built for more than that. You were built to stretch, to strive, to expand, to grow. You were built to evolve. Comfort robs you of that evolution. Comfort also kills ambition. When you become comfortable with where you are, you stop aiming high. You stop dreaming big. You stop setting goals that challenge your character. You stop taking risks that build courage. You stop pushing your limits. You become satisfied with average. You become okay with mediocrity. But deep down inside, something feels off. You feel the tension between who you are and who you could be. You know there's more in you, but you're not tapping into it because comfort has convinced you that a good enough is acceptable. A good enough is not your destiny. A good enough is not your standard. You did not survive everything you survived just to settle. You didn't make it through the pain, the disappointment, the setbacks, the challenges just to stop here. Comfort tells you to be grateful for what you have so you don't chase what you deserve. Gratitude is necessary, but gratitude is not the enemy of ambition. You can be grateful and still push for more. Gratitude fills your heart. Ambition fulfills your purpose. Comfort also creates habits, dangerous ones. The habit of procrastination, the habit of settling, the habit of doing the minimum, the habit of avoiding hard conversations, hard decisions, hard work. These habits stack up. They shape your life. They shape your future. They determine your quality of living. The habits that comfort creates are habits that destroy potential. Think of comfort like a soft couch. You sit down for a minute and before you know it, hours have passed. You didn't intend to stay there that long. You wanted to get up and be productive. But the comfort held you. It locked you in place. Life is the same way. If you sit in comfort too long, it becomes your identity. You start believing comfort is who you are instead of what you're stuck in. Discomfort, on the other hand, pushes you forward. Discomfort forces you to adapt, to think differently, to evolve. It forces you to develop new skills, new strategies, new levels of strength. Discomfort is where champions are born. Discomfort is where leaders emerge. Discomfort is where growth happens. Every time you choose discomfort, you level up. Every time you step into something that scares you, you grow. Every time you challenge yourself, you expand your limits. You have the potential to become much more than you are right now, but that potential will never manifest if you refuse to step into discomfort. Comfort keeps you from facing the pain you need to face in order to heal. Comfort keeps you from making the change you need to make in order to grow. Comfort keeps you stuck in old cycles, old environments, old habits, old ways of thinking. Comfort tells you to stay in situations that no longer serve you because change feels scary. And that's the real battle, choosing what you need over what feels good. Comfort feels good. Growth feels uncomfortable. Comfort feels easy. Growth feels challenging. Comfort feels predictable. Growth feels uncertain. But what feels good isn't always good for you. What's easy doesn't build strength. What's familiar doesn't build character. What's predictable doesn't build courage. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, something inside you wakes up. Something inside you comes alive. Something inside you said, so finally we're moving. Finally we're growing. Finally we're stepping into who we're supposed to be. Your soul knows when you're living beneath your calling. Oh, that's why you feel restless. That's why you feel unfulfilled. That's why you feel stuck. That feeling is not depression. It's destiny trying to get your attention. Comfort tries to numb that voice. Comfort tries to silence that inner urgency. Comfort tells you relax. You're fine. Stop worrying. But you know deep down you're not fine. You know you're not living at your full potential. You know there's more inside you. You know there's a bigger version of you waiting. And the only thing standing between you and that version is your addiction to comfort. You've got to be willing to let discomfort become normal. You've got to be willing to choose challenge over safety. You've got to be willing to push yourself even when everything in you wants to stay still. The opportunities you seek, the blessings you want, the life you dream of, they are not inside your comfort zone. They are on the other side of fear, on the other side of discipline. If you keep choosing comfort, you will never meet the strongest version of yourself. Work. You will never meet the most successful version of yourself. You will never meet the most courageous version of yourself. You will never meet the version of you that's capable of changing your entire life. That version waits for you in discomfort. Pressure is proof that you're getting closer to your breakthrough. Most people run from pressure because they think pressure is punishment, but the truth is the exact opposite. Pressure is a sign that something inside you is expanding. Pressure is a signal that you're moving into territory you've never been in before. Pressure is the indication that you are not standing still, that you're not repeating the same patterns, that you're not living the same year over and over again. If you feel pressure right now, It means life is squeezing something out of you, something greater, something higher, something stronger. Pressure is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Think about diamonds. They are not formed in comfort. They are not formed in convenience. They are not formed in easy environments. Diamonds are formed under extreme pressure and intense heat. Two, you look at a diamond and admire its brilliance, but you forget the process it had to survive to become that brilliant. You want to shine like a diamond, but you don't want the pressure that shapes one. You want the beauty, but not the breaking. You want the result, but not the refining. Pressure is the refining. Pressure is the shaping. Pressure is the transformation. The problem with so many people is they think pressure means they're doing something wrong. They think pressure is a sign. They think pressure is a sign. They think pressure is a sign. They should step back. But pressure is usually the sign that you're doing something right. Pressure shows up when you're stretching yourself, when you're growing, when you're challenging the limitations that have held you captive. Pressure is the alarm that tells you you're on the cusp of something new. Pressure is also proof of responsibility. If you feel pressure, it means something matters to you. It means you care about the outcome. It means you're invested. You don't feel pressure when you're doing something irrelevant. You don't feel pressure when you're doing something beneath you. You don't feel pressure when you're doing something easy. Pressure shows up when you're stepping into purpose, when you're moving towards something meaningful. Pressure is the weight of potential sitting on your shoulders, reminding you that you were built to carry more than you thought. Pressure builds strength. Muscles grow because they are placed under tension. Without pressure, there's no growth. Without resistance, there is no progress. The very thing you're trying to avoid is the thing that will make you stronger. You keep saying, it's too much, but that's because you've never lifted this much before. You've never pushed this hard before. You've never walked this path before. Pressure is simply the evidence that you're leveling up. Sometimes pressure feels like everything is going wrong at once. It feels like life is closing in on you. It feels like you're being crushed. But you're not being crushed, you're being crafted. You're not being broke, you're being built. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Every situation that feels heavy is shaping you into the version of yourself who can handle the blessings you've been praying for. People pray for greatness, but they don't pray for the pressure that precedes greatness. People want higher income, higher responsibility, higher opportunities, higher positions, but they don't want the pressure that comes with higher levels. They want to be leaders, but they don't want the pressure of making decisions, pressure of being accountable, pressure of being dependable, pressure of being consistent. Everything you want is being blocked by pressure, not because pressure is stopping you, but because you're refusing to walk through it. Pressure reveals your character. When you're under pressure, the real you shows up. When you're under pressure, your excuses show up. Your habits show up. Your priorities show up. Pressure exposes your weaknesses, but not to embarrass you. Pressure exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. The problem is most people avoid pressure and then wonder why they never grow. They wonder why they never rise. They wonder why they never change. You cannot pray for growth and run from the environment that produces growth. Pressure also tests your commitment. Anyone can make commitments when things are easy. Anyone can say they're disciplined when life is smooth. Anyone can talk about dreams when the road is clear. But pressure forces you to choose between quitting or continuing. How badly do you want it? Are you serious about this? Are you willing to endure discomfort? Are you willing to push past the fear? Are you willing to trust the process even when you can't see the progress? Pressure is also personal. What creates pressure for one person may not create pressure for another. That's because pressure is tied to your capacity, your purpose, your assignment. Your pressure is tailored for your growth. Life doesn't give you pressure to destroy you. Life gives you pressure to develop you. You may look at someone else and think they have it easy, but you have no idea about their private pressure. Everyone carries pressure, but not everyone handles it the same. Some break under pressure, others rise under it. And some run from pressure, others run toward it. Pressure is a privilege. If life is applying pressure on you, it means you're being trusted with growth. It means you're being trusted with responsibility. It means you're being trusted with opportunity. You can't get to the next level without pressure. You can't expand without pressure. Pressure is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. Walking across that bridge doesn't feel good, but it's the only way forward. There will be moments when pressure feels overwhelming, Moments when you feel like you're carrying too much. Moments when you wonder if you're strong enough. Moments when you question whether you're capable. But those moments are the exact moments when you need to keep moving. Those moments are where your breakthrough is closest. Pressure intensifies right before everything changes. Pressure peaks right before the door opens. Pressure increases right before the blessing arrives. Think about childbirth. The pressure becomes unbearable right before the baby is delivered. The pain is highest right before the breakthrough happens. The contractions intensify right before new life emerges. Pressure is not the end. It's the final stage before something extraordinary is born. Many people give up during a moment of greatest pressure, not realizing that if they push just a little more, everything would change. They stop right before the breakthrough. They give up right before the shift. They quit right before the blessing. Pressure demands perspective. When you change the way you look at pressure, pressure changes the way it affects you. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? You start saying, this is happening for me. Instead of saying, I can't, or this, you start saying, this is building me. Instead of thinking pressure is punishment, you start realizing pressure is preparation. Without pressure, you stay soft. Without pressure, you stay small. Without pressure, you stay untested. Without pressure, you stay unproven. Pressure requires patience. You can't rush it. You can't skip it. You can't avoid it. You have to endure it. Pressure always feels longer than it actually is. Yes, because pressure stretches your capacity. It stretches your mind. It stretches your endurance. But every moment of pressure creates a stronger version of you. Pressure builds endurance. Pressure builds resilience. Pressure builds emotional strength, mental toughness, spiritual stability. Pressure also teaches you to rely on discipline instead of feelings. Your feelings will quit on you when pressure shows up. Your feelings will panic. Your feelings will tell you it's too much. But discipline stays. Discipline says, keep going. Discipline says, a push through. Discipline says, a one step at a time. Pressure teaches you to lead with discipline instead of emotion. Pressure is also a filter. It filters out distractions. When you're under pressure, you suddenly see what matters and what doesn't. Pressure forces you to prioritize. Pressure forces you to eliminate what is wasting your time. Pressure forces you to simplify your life and refocus your energy. Only pressure can do that. Comfort will never drive you to clarity. Pressure will. Pressure also attracts revelation. Some of the best ideas, the most creative solution, the most meaningful clarity you will ever have in your life will come while you're under pressure. Pressure forces your mind into new territory. It forces you to think differently. It forces you to innovate. Breakthrough ideas rarely show up in relaxed environments. They show up when life pushes you into a corner and you're forced to find a way out. Pressure has timing. It comes when you're ready for more, even if you don't feel ready. Life applies pressure when it knows you're capable of growing through it. You might think you're not strong enough, but pressure knows better. Pressure was assigned to you because you have the capacity to handle it. You would not be experiencing the pressure you're facing if life didn't know you were capable of surviving it, learning from it, and rising because of it. Some of you have been praying for change, praying for strength, praying for opportunity, praying for growth, and then pressure showed up. And you said, oh, why me? Pressure is the answer to the prayer. Pressure is the process you asked for. Pressure is the environment where the transformation you want actually happens. You can't pray for elevation and then complain about the pressure that elevation requires. Pressure also teaches you to let go of control. You can't control everything. You can't manage every detail. You can't predict every outcome. Pressure forces you to surrender what you cannot control and focus on what you can control. Pressure teaches you to trust. Pressure teaches you to breathe. Pressure teaches you to move forward even when the path isn't clear. Pressure changes you. It doesn't leave you the same. Every time you survive pressure, you come out wiser. Every time you push through pressure, you come out stronger. Every time you grow through pressure, you come out more resilient. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your partner in transformation. Pressure is shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of your future without collapsing under it. There comes a moment in every person's journey when life puts them in front of a mirror. Not a mirror of reflection, but a mirror of decision. A mirror that asks, are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to let go of who you've been so you can become who you're destined to be? This moment isn't soft, it isn't gentle, and it isn't gentle, and it isn't comfortable. It's hard. It's brutally honest. And it forces you to look at parts of yourself you've been avoiding for years. That's what transformation demands. It demands truth. It demands discipline. It demands sacrifice that feels like it's tearing you apart before it builds you back up. Greatness isn't something you stumble into. It's something you carve out of yourself with daily choices that most people would never be willing to make. When people say they want to be great, most mean they want the result, not the sacrifice. They want the applause, not the sacrifice. They want the reward, not the discipline. They want the finish line without ever running the race. But greatness doesn't come packaged neatly. It comes wrapped in early mornings nobody sees. It comes in late nights spent grinding while the world sleeps. It comes in 1,000 tiny decisions that look insignificant to others, but are everything to you. It comes from the battles you fight privately, the ones between your potential and your excuses, between your purpose and your comfort, between who you are and who you could be. People look at high performers and think they're lucky. They think they're gifted. They think they were born with something special. And yes, some people may have a head start, but what truly separates those who rise from those who stay stuck is the willingness to sacrifice. Greatness isn't built in ease. It's built in discomfort. It's built in the moments when you want to quit, but don't. It's built in the choices that nobody claps for. It's built in the sacrifices that will break most people long before they reach the finish line. Sacrifice is the price of admission for anything extraordinary. If you want something different, you must become someone different. You can't carry old habits into a new life. You can't bring your excuses with you. You can't drag inconsistency across the line and expect success to welcome you with open arms. Transformation requires shedding laziness, shedding fear, shedding the opinions of people who don't understand your vision, shedding the desire for instant gratification. The hardest part about sacrifice isn't giving up things you don't care about. It's giving up things you do care about in order to pursue something you care about even more. There will be days when sacrifice feels unfair. You'll watch other people live carefree while you're grinding. You'll see people sleeping while you're up working. You'll see people enjoying the weekend while you're locked in, focused, dedicated. It will feel lonely. It will feel exhausting. But you have to remember, you're not sacrificing for nothing. You're sacrificing for your future. You're sacrificing for the life you told yourself you wanted. You're sacrificing because you believe in something bigger than your temporary comfort. For many people, sacrifice isn't the biggest issue. Trust is. They don't trust the process. They don't trust that the pain they're enduring will lead to something better. They don't trust themselves to stay consistent long enough to see results. Because sacrifice demands faith. It demands that you put in work long before you see any reward. It demands that you commit to the unseen. It demands that you plant seeds knowing you won't harvest them today, tomorrow, or even next month. But you plant anyway. You grind anyway. You push anyway. Because sacrificing with no immediate result is the training ground of greatness. Most people quit not because they're incapable, but because they can't handle the silence. They can't handle the space between effort and results. They can't handle the waiting period where nothing seems to be changing on the outside, even though everything is changing on the inside. And that's why sacrifice feels so heavy. It feels like loss before it feels like gain. It feels like struggle before it feels like strength. It feels like emptiness before it feels like purpose. You must get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You must be willing to walk away from the easy path and choose the one nobody else is willing to take. You must be willing to put your old life on the line to create your new one. If you're trying to climb mountains while carrying the weight of your old habits, you're going to collapse. If you're trying to run toward destiny while holding on to distractions, you're going to slow down. If you're trying to elevate while staying attached to the people and environments that keep you small, you're going to sabotage your own growth. Sacrifice also means letting go of environments that no longer serve you. You can't hang around people who complain and expect to become someone who conquers. You can't surround yourself with doubters and expect to develop belief. You can't share your dreams with people who only know limitations and expect them to understand your calling. Not everyone can go where you're going. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some people aren't bad. They're just not aligned with the future version of you. And staying around them will cost you more than leaving them ever will. Sometimes sacrifice will require you to reinvent your routines. You may have to wake up earlier. You may have to train harder. You may have to say no to invitation. You may have to trade entertainment for discipline. You may have to invest in yourself when you'd rather spend on comfort. You may have to push your body, stretch your mind, and break patterns that have lived in you for years. Transformation isn't just about doing something new. It's about unbecoming everything that has kept you from your potential. And let's be real, sacrifice hurts. It's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to hurt. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. Discipline doesn't feel good at first. Consistency doesn't feel natural at first. Building character feels like breaking at first. But that breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning. It's the breaking of limitations, the breaking of excuses, the breaking of old identities, the breaking of the version of you that was never meant to carry you into your purpose. Think about the strongest people you admire, the ones who inspire you, the ones who push you, the ones you look up to. Every one of them paid a price. Every one of them sacrificed. Every one of them endured seasons of isolation, discipline, and discomfort. They didn't get there by wishing. They didn't get there by talking about it. They didn't get there by having talent alone. They got there because they made choices others refused to make. They lived with intention. They lived with discipline. They lived with sacrifice as their daily companion. Sacrifice doesn't just transform your results. It transforms your identity. When you prove to yourself that you can deny temporary comfort for long-term purpose, you build confidence. When you choose discipline over distraction, you build resilience. When you keep going despite fatigue, you build mental toughness. When you make the choices nobody else sees, you become someone nobody else can compete with. Sacrifice strengthens your character in ways comfort never will. One of the biggest traps people fall into is wanting sacrifice and comfort at the same time. They want the grind without the grind. They want results with minimal effort. They want to change without changing. But you cannot hold on to who you were and expect to become someone new. You cannot cling to comfort and expect to rise. You cannot skip the struggle and expect to develop strength. Transformation requires that you go through the fire because the fire burns away everything that isn't meant for your future. Sometimes sacrifice means stepping away from the noise and going inward. It means spending time with yourself, learning yourself, understanding your triggers, your weaknesses, your strengths, your patterns. It means confronting the parts of you that sabotage your success. It means asking yourself hard questions and answering them honestly. It means doing the emotional work, not just the physical work. Real transformation involves the heart, the mind, the soul, not just the hustle. There will be days when you'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll question whether the sacrifices you're making are too much. You'll feel like giving up. You'll feel like settling. You'll feel tempted to go back to the comfortable life you once knew. But remember this, comfort is where dreams go to die. Comfort is where potential stays buried. Comfort is where purpose goes unfulfilled. Every great story you've ever heard was born out of sacrifice, not ease. And one day, if you stay committed, if you stay disciplined, if you stay willing to sacrifice, you'll look back and realize that everything you gave up was nothing compared to everything you gained. There are moments in life when you look around and realize that the world is moving forward without you. You see people progressing, achieving, elevating, transforming, while you feel stuck in the same place, repeating the same cycles, facing the same struggles year after year. And deep inside, it creates a tension, a restlessness, a frustration that whispers, why not me? Why can't I move forward? Why do I feel like I'm running in place? The truth is, growth isn't just about working harder. It's about working with clarity, intention, and alignment. It's about understanding that progress isn't random. It's the result of daily decisions, disciplined habits, and unwavering focus. Greatness does not arrive by accident. It arrives because you deliberately position yourself for it. We live in a noisy world, a world filled with distractions screaming for your attention, dragging your mind in every direction except the direction of your purpose. Every day you are pulled by notifications, entertainment, gossip, comparison, temptation, and comfort. And if you aren't intentional, You lose time without even realizing it. 1 hour slips away, then another, then an entire day disappears without you having done anything that moves you closer to your goals. Most people never achieve greatness not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They're busy but not productive. They're active but not advancing. They're moving but not moving forward. To grow, you must be willing to prioritize. You must be willing to put first what truly matters and stop giving your best energy to things that don't change your life. Change your life. Progress requires a ruthless commitment to what is essential. It requires saying no to many good things so you can say yes to the few great things. It requires understanding that your time is not infinite and that every minute wasted is a minute stolen from your future. Growth demands clarity. Clarity about what you want, who you want to become, and what you're willing to sacrifice to get there. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of discipline. A stronger, wiser, more powerful version, but you cannot access that version without letting go of old pattern. You cannot become who you're meant to be while holding on to habits that keep you stuck. You cannot elevate while clinging to excuses. Growth is a process of shedding. It's a process of letting go, even when letting go hurts. Because comfort is seductive. It convinces you that you have time. It convinces you that you can delay your dreams. It convinces you that you can wait until tomorrow to start becoming better. But tomorrow is a liar. Tomorrow never comes for those who refuse to act today. They interpret difficulty as a sign they should give up, when in reality, difficulty is a sign that they're on the right path. Growth is uncomfortable because you're leaving behind the version of you that was built for survival and stepping into the version of you that was built for greatness. The discomfort you feel is the breaking of old limitations. The struggle you feel is the stretching of your potential. The pain you feel is the birth of a new you. You must also understand that growth is personal. Your journey is yours. Your timeline is yours. Your pace is yours. Comparing your progress to someone else's is the quickest way to destroy your momentum. You might be on chapter 1 while someone else is on chapter 20. That doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're beginning. And beginnings are powerful. Beginnings are brave. Beginnings require courage most people never tap into. Honor your progress, however small. Celebrate your steps, however slow. Growth is not about speed. It's about direction. As long as you're moving forward, you're evolving. Another essential element of growth is identity. You cannot outperform the image you have of yourself. If deep down you believe you're average, you will sabotage anything that looks like greatness. If you believe you're unworthy, you will push away opportunities. If you believe you're incapable, you will never take the risk required to rise. Growth requires redefining who you believe you are. It requires rewriting your inner script, replacing self-doubt with self-belief, replacing fear with faith, replacing limitation with possibility. You must decide that you are worthy of success. You must decide that you are capable of transformation. You must decide that you are built for more. Identity shapes action, and action shapes results. If you want better results, you must build a better identity. Growth also requires humility. You must be willing to be a beginner. You must be willing to be bad at something before you can be good at it. And you must be willing to learn, fail, adjust, and try again. Most people avoid growth because they're afraid of looking foolish. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of making mistakes. But mistakes are part of mastery. Failure is part of success. Every expert was once a beginner who refused to quit. Humility allows you to learn, adapt, and expand. Pride keeps you stuck. Humility elevates you. You must also be willing to audit your life. Your thoughts, your behaviors. Growth begins with awareness. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. Every habit you have is either pulling you toward your future or dragging you away from it. Every thought you think is either empowering you or limiting you. Every action you take is either building you or breaking you. When you audit your life with honesty, you take control of your trajectory. You stop living with autopilot, you stop drifting, you start steering your life with intention. Greatness requires long-term commitment. It requires waking up every day with the mindset that you will do something, anything, that moves your life forward. Some days you'll take big steps, some days you'll take tiny steps, but you must take steps. Growth is the accumulation of thousands of small decisions that compound over time. One workout won't transform your body, but 100 will. 1 hour of learning won't change your mind, but a year will. One moment of discipline won't alter your life, but years of discipline will. Growth is slow, steady, and powerful. In the end, you must realize that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you greatness. Nobody is going to force you to grow. This is your life, your dream, your responsibility. If you want to evolve, you must commit to the process. If you want to break cycles, you must change your behavior. If you want a different future, you must make different choices. Growth is available to you. Success is available to you. Transformation is available to you. But you must be willing to do the work. You must be willing to focus. You must be willing to believe. You must be willing to persist. And if you stay consistent, disciplined, intentional, there will come a day when you look back at your journey and barely recognize the person you used to be. Not because life magically got easier, but because you became stronger. There comes a point in every journey where the path ahead feels heavier than you expected, where the weight on your shoulders seems too much to carry, where the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels impossibly wide. And in those moments, the temptation to settle becomes strong. You start to tell yourself that maybe average isn't so bad. Maybe a good enough is enough. Maybe the dream you once believed in was unrealistic. That's how most people lose their greatness. Not by failing, but by settling. Settling is silent. It creeps in slowly. It convinces you that comfort is better than challenge, that safety is better than growth, that predictable is better than purposeful. But deep inside, there's a voice that refuses to die, a voice that whispers that you're meant for more, that you're capable of more, that you were not born to blend in with mediocrity. Growth demands more from you than you have, and that's exactly why many people never experience it. It requires endurance in the face of disappointment. It requires resilience when life hits harder than expected. It requires pushing through moments where motivation disappears and only discipline is left. And discipline is rarely glamorous. It looks like waking up when you're tired, working when you don't feel inspired, showing up when nobody claps, and doing the same boring, repetitive things that slowly make you extraordinary. Greatness isn't built in moments of excitement, but in the quiet, consistent grind that nobody sees. Every person who has ever achieved something great had a moment, sometimes multiple moments, when quitting seemed easier. The difference between those who made it and those who didn't isn't talent or luck. It's perseverance. It's the ability to keep going when everything in you screams to stop. It's the refusal to surrender in the face of setbacks. It's the willingness to endure discomfort without seeking escape. You cannot build a strong life with a weak mindset. You cannot rise if you keep stepping off the ladder every time it shakes. You must keep climbing even when the next rung is hard to reach. Most people misunderstand struggle. They think it's a sign that something is wrong. They think difficulty means they're on the wrong path. But struggle is evidence that you're growing. Struggle is proof you're moving beyond your old limits. Struggle is a sign that you are stretching into areas you've never been before. If everything in your life feels easy, it's because you're living within your comfort zone, and nothing great has ever been built in comfort. Comfort keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. The moment you decide to push yourself, to dream bigger, to aim higher, discomfort will show up. It's not there to stop you, it's there to shape you. The biggest obstacle most people face isn't lack of opportunity, but lack of persistence. They start strong but fade as soon as it gets difficult. They rely too heavily on motivation, forgetting that motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Motivation may get you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the engine. You cannot rely on how you feel to determine your actions. Some days you will feel powerful and focused. Other days you will feel tired, irritated, unmotivated, or discouraged. But feelings come and go. Purpose remains. And when you're driven by purpose instead of emotion, you become unstoppable. There will be times when life tests your commitment. You will face delays, disappointments, failures, and setbacks. You'll invest effort and see no progress. You'll give your best and get less than expected. You'll make sacrifices and wonder if they matter. This is where many people give up. Not because they can't succeed, but because they don't see the results quickly enough. They underestimate how long growth takes. They underestimate how much internal work must happen before external results appear. They forget that every transformation begins invisibly. Just like a seed must grow roots before it breaks the soil, your growth must mature inside you before the world sees it. You must learn to persist through silence, persist through slow progress, persist through days where it feels like nothing is happening. Because in those moments, everything is happening. Your mindset is being strengthened. Your character is being formed. Your discipline is being forged. Persistence isn't about grinding loudly. Sometimes it's about quietly refusing to quit. It's about still moving when no one believes in you, still pushing when no one is watching, still fighting when no one is cheering. The world celebrates results but ignores the process. That's why many people envy success but refuse to endure the struggle that created it. They love the shine but skip the shaping. They want the trophy without running the race. But if you truly want greatness, you must embrace the process, every part of it. The highs, the lows, the setbacks, the breakthroughs, the confusion, the clarity, all of it is building you. All of it is teaching you. All of it is necessary. One of the greatest lessons you can learn is that adversity doesn't break you. It reveals you. It shows you what you truly believe. It shows you how badly you want your dream. It shows you whether your commitment is real or conditional. Conditional commitment says, I'll keep going as long as it's easy, as long as I'm winning, as long as everything goes my way. But real commitment says, I'll keep going even when it hurts. I'll keep going even when it's complicated. I'll keep going even when I doubt myself. I'll keep going because quitting is not an option. When you develop that kind of persistence, life cannot stop you. Many people don't push themselves because they're afraid of failing. They're afraid of trying their hardest and still coming up short. They're afraid of embarrassment, judgment, disappointment, or rejection. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every great person you admire has failed more times than you can count. Count. They didn't avoid failure. They used it. They learned from it. They used it. They allowed it to sharpen them rather than shame them. Failure only defeats those who stop trying. The ones who rise use failure as fuel. You must understand that persistence is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up consistently, even if you're not always at your best. Some days you'll move forward slowly. Some days you'll stumble. Some days you'll fall. But persistence means getting back up every single time. It means you refuse to stay down. It means you learn from every setback and return stronger. It means you refuse to let life break you. Another key element of persistence is emotional endurance. Many people quit not because the task is too hard, but because the emotions are too heavy. They feel overwhelmed, anxious, discouraged, or insecure. They let those emotions dictate their actions. But emotional endurance is the ability to feel everything and still move forward. It's the strength to say, I'm scared, but I'll try anyway. I'm tired, but I'll keep going. I'm uncertain, but I'll take the step. Emotional endurance is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. There will be people around you who doubt you, who misunderstand you, who question your choices, who criticize your ambition. They may not see your vision, and that's okay. It's not for them. Your dream was placed in your heart, not theirs. Persistence means believing in yourself even when others don't. It means trusting your path even when others don't understand. It means holding on to your vision even when it looks impossible. One of the most powerful forces in persistence is purpose. When you remember why you started, the how becomes manageable. When your why is strong, your endurance becomes limitless. Purpose gives you strength when your body is tired, clarity when your mind is overwhelmed, and resilience when your faith wavers. Purpose fuels passion and perseverance. If you feel like giving up, return to your why. Reconnect with what burns inside you. Purpose will reignite your spirit. There will come a point in your journey where you realize that persistence is not just about achieving something, it's about becoming someone. Every time you push yourself, you're building a stronger version of you. Every time you keep going, you're expanding your capacity. Every time you refuse to quit, you're developing mental fortitude. Persistence shapes your identity. It turns you into someone who can handle more, lead more, achieve more, and inspire more. And you must also understand that persistence is not loud. It does not always announce itself. Sometimes persistence looks like tiny steps. Sometimes it looks like one more rep, one more hour, one more attempt, one more day. It's the accumulation of those one more that changes everything. Greatness is rarely achieved in big leaps. It's built through countless small pushes that nobody sees. One day you will look back at every moment when you pushed yourself, when you kept going despite the odds, when you refused to quit. And you will realize that those moments weren't obstacles. They were the moments that made you. They were the moments that made you. They were the moments that transformed you. They were the moments that built your greatness, that there's a part of your journey that nobody talks about. A part that isn't glamorous or loud or exciting. It's the part of the path where you work in silence, where you grind when no one is applauding, where you push forward even when it feels like the world has forgotten you. And this is the season that separates those who merely dream from those who actually rise. Because the truth is, the world celebrates the results, but the results are built in the shadows. Success is not born in the spotlight. It is conceived in private, nurtured by discipline, and strengthened by unseen effort long before anyone knows your name. Most people struggle because they expect results to come as fast as their effort. They want recognition quickly. They want validation immediately. They want progress to show up instantly. But the reality is, real success takes time. Real mastery takes patience. Real transformation requires silence. There are days, sometimes months, even years, where the work you're doing doesn't look like it's producing anything. You put in the hours, you show up consistently, and yet it feels like nothing is moving. You wonder if you're doing something wrong. You question whether you have what it takes. But what you don't realize is that everything you're doing in the dark is preparing you for the moment when your breakthrough finally comes to light. Every great person you admire spent years being unseen. Athletes train without crowds. Entrepreneurs built without applause. Artists practice without recognition. Students study without praise. What you see today is the result, but what you don't see is the process. You don't see the exhaustion, the frustration, the setbacks, the long days, the sleepless nights, the doubts they fought alone, the fear they overcame silently. You don't see the moments where they wanted to quit but did. You don't see the sacrifices they made that nobody ever. The process is quiet, and that's why most people miss it. They think greatness happens suddenly, but it never does. Greatness is the product of consistent effort hidden behind closed doors. The reason unseen work is so powerful is because it builds character. When you work without applause, you learn to be driven by purpose rather than validation. When you push yourself without anyone watching, you develop internal strength instead of relying on external praise. When you show up every day without recognition, you learn to commit to the process instead of the outcome. Silent seasons shape you in ways that loud seasons never can. They train your discipline, sharpen your focus, and strengthen your resilience. This is where you become the person capable of holding the success you're chasing. Working in silence forces you to confront your insecurities. There are no cheering crowds to distract you, no praise to mask your weaknesses. It's just you, your effort, and your reflection. You begin to see what needs improvement. You begin to face the habits that sabotage your progress. You begin to understand where you've been settling. Growth requires honesty, and honesty often comes in the quiet moments when the noise fades and you're left alone with the truth. There's a danger in being addicted to recognition. If you only work when people are watching, you will never rise. If you only try when you're being praised, your progress will always depend on the approval of others. But the strongest individuals are those who don't need an audience to stay committed. They don't need applause to stay consistent. They don't need validation to push themselves. They do the work quietly, steadily, faithfully, because they understand that their future depends on what they do when nobody is paying attention. The painful part about working in silence is that it often feels like you're invisible. It feels like nobody notices your effort, nobody sees your sacrifices, nobody cares about your struggle. But what you must understand is that silence is not a sign you're forgotten. Silence is a sign you're being developed. You are being built away from the noise so that when your moment arrives, you will be ready. Sometimes life hides you to heal you, strengthens you in secret, prepares you quietly so that you don't crumble publicly. The silent seasons are protection as much as preparation. Every hour you invest in a dark compound, even when you don't see the immediate results. Every skill you build behind the scenes becomes a tool you'll one day rely on. Every moment you push yourself when you feel like quitting becomes a reservoir of strength that will carry you when challenges intensify. Every disciplined act, every quiet sacrifice, every unseen decision adds up. Unseen effort is never wasted. It accumulates into something powerful, something you'll be grateful for when the world finally sees who you become. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that slow progress is a lack of progress. But the truth is, progress is often invisible at first. Just like roots grow below the surface long before a tree emerges, your efforts are strengthening you in ways you can't yet see. You may feel stagnant, but you're growing. You may feel unnoticed, but you're evolving. You may feel like nothing is changing, but everything is changing. Silent progress is still progress, and often it's the most important kind. There will be days when you question whether the silence worth it. You'll wonder if anyone will ever recognize the work you've put in. You'll feel tempted to give up, to take shortcuts, to chase fast results instead of long-term growth. But shortcuts steal from your future. They give temporary satisfaction but destroy lasting success. Silent work may take longer, but it builds something real, something solid, something permanent. You must also understand that working in silence teaches you patience. It teaches you perseverance. It teaches you perseverance. It teaches you that meaningful things take time. In a world full of instant gratification, patience has become rare, and that's why true greatness is rare. The people who reach the top are not always the smartest or most talented. They are the ones who stayed committed long enough to see the results. They kept working even when it felt pointless. They kept pushing even when progress was slow. They kept believing even when the silence was loud. Being unseen gives you the freedom to experiment, to fail, to grow without judgment. Fame puts pressure on you to be perfect. Recognition makes mistakes feel heavier. But when you're still hitting, you have room to learn. You can try new things without fear. You can fail quietly and rise again without public criticism. There is freedom in the shadow. Use that freedom to refine your craft, strengthen your foundation, and become the best version of yourself. And when the time comes, because it eventually will, your moment will arrive. The world will see the results of everything you did behind the scenes. They will be amazed by your talent, impressed by your discipline, inspired by your transformation. And they will call it overnight success, even though you know it wasn't overnight at all. It was years of silent work, invisible effort, private battles, and quiet victories. They will see the light, but you will remember the darkness. They will see the glory, but you will remember the grind. And you will realize that the silence wasn't a punishment. Oh, it was the birthplace of everything you became. The reason silent work is so important is because it builds integrity. When you work with no audience, you learn to be honest with yourself. You learn to give full effort even when nobody is watching. That integrity becomes a foundation that cannot be shaken. When success comes, you won't crumble under the pressure because you've already built inner strength. When opportunities appear, you'll be prepared because you spent years sharpening your skills in private. When challenges arise, you'll overcome it because your resilience was forged in the dark. There's nothing more powerful than a person who is consistent in silence, because that person is driven by something deeper than attention. They are driven by purpose. They are driven by vision. They are driven by a hunger that applause can't satisfy. They don't need validation to keep going. They don't need recognition to stay committed. They are unstoppable because their motivation comes from within, not from the outside world. You must embrace the silent seasons of your life. These are the moments that shape you. These are the moments that build you. These are the moments that prepare you for everything you've been praying for. Do not rush the silence. Do not despise it. Do not despise it. Do not think it means you're failing. Silence often means you're being shaped into something too powerful to be exposed prematurely. It's molding you quietly so that when your time comes, you won't just shine. You'll shine with purpose, strength, and authenticity. One day, everything you've done in private will demand public attention. One day, the value you built in the dark will illuminate your path. One day, the world will recognize what you've known deep within yourself, that you were always capable, always worthy, always destined for more. But that recognition only comes if you endure the quiet season, if you keep working, if you keep believing, if you keep pushing, if you keep building. And when that moment arrives, when the lights turn towards you, when people finally see who you become, you will realize something profound. The real reward was not the spotlight. The real reward was the person you became while no one was watching. When people say they want more out of life, most of the time they're talking about external results. They want more success, more respect, more recognition, more peace, more opportunity. But the truth that most people refuse to confront is that life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you what you are prepared for. If you want more, you must become more. You cannot ask life to give you something you are not built to receive, handle, and sustain. Wanting is easy, but becoming is the real work. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not luck, not connections, not resources, it's growth. Every next level in your life will require a next level version of you. You can't stay the same, think the same, behave the same, and expect circumstances to magically elevate. Life is a mirror. It reflects who you are, not who you hope to be. If you want more, you must grow into the kind of person who can carry a morning without collapsing under its weight. People see the finished product of successful individuals, the money, the cars, the applause, the achievements. But they don't realize that these people were upgraded internally long before their lives were upgraded externally. Greatness always begins as an internal transformation before it becomes visible as an external result. Many people pray for opportunity they aren't yet disciplined enough to maintain. They ask for blessings they aren't responsible enough to manage. They want success, but they still have the habits of the person who fails. They want promotion, but they still think like the person at the bottom. They want abundance, but they still act with the character of someone unprepared. Life is structured around development, not desire. You don't get what you want. You get what you grow into. If you want more, you must elevate your mindset until it matches what you're asking for. There's a reason why life challenges you before rewards you. The struggle is not punishment, it's preparation. It's preparation. The hardships you go through are shaping you into someone capable of holding more. Think about it. A small cup cannot hold a gallon of water. You can want a gallon, beg for a gallon, cry for a gallon. But unless you become a bigger container, it doesn't matter how much water you're given, you won't be able to keep it. That's why so many people rise quickly and fall even faster. They achieve something externally, but they didn't expand internally. Their capacity remains small, so the pressure crushed them. If you want more, you must become more. The version of you that struggles financially cannot manage wealth. The version of you that quits easily cannot handle success. The version of you that avoids responsibility cannot lead. The version of you that blames others cannot create greatness. You have to grow into the person who can handle the life you're asking for. And growth is uncomfortable. Growth is humbling. Growth forces you to confront your own weaknesses, your own fears, your own excuses. But that discomfort is exactly what molds you into someone stronger. You can't expect a championship life with amateur habits. If you want more in life, you have to break the version of yourself that settles, that procrastinates, that doubts, that blames, that avoids the hard work. You have to replace old stories with new standards. You have to replace excuses with execution. You have to replace comfort with commitment. The next level version of you is waiting, but you have to be willing to let the current version of you die. That's the hardest part. People want more without losing who they are, but the version of you that got you here is not the version that will take you there. Every day you should be asking yourself, am I becoming the person that my future requires? Not the person my past created. Not the person my environment shaped. Not the person my insecurities dictate. The person my future requires. That version of you is disciplined, focused, consistent, and unstoppable. But you can't become that individual through wishful thinking. You become that person by doing the work, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. When you ask for more, life checks your character before it checks your qualification. It evaluates your resilience before your resume. It examines your discipline before your dreams. Because if life gives you more before you become more, that amore will break you. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the person who deserves it. That's why you see people who rise from nothing and turn into champions. They grew themselves into greatness. And you see others with all the potential in the world but never achieve anything. They waited for life to change without changing themselves. Everything in life is about alignment. You cannot manifest greatness with a mindset built on limitation. You cannot attract abundance with habits built on laziness. You cannot receive opportunities with a heart full of excuses. Life responds to who you are, not who you pretend to be. If your character doesn't match your request, life won't deliver it. If your habits don't match your dreams, life won't sustain them. If your discipline doesn't match your ambition, life won't grant them. The transformation begins the moment you accept that the life you want requires a higher version of you. That's when you stop looking for shortcuts. That's when you stop blaming others. That's when you stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. That's when you stop hoping for opportunities and start creating them. That's when you stop wishing for change and start becoming the change. You want more money? Become the kind of person who manages resources well. You want more success? Become the kind of person who remains consistent. You want more respect? Become the kind of person who gives respect. You want more opportunities? Become the kind of person who recognizes and seizes them. You want more peace? Become the kind of person who controls their reactions instead of letting emotions take over. You want more freedom? Become the kind of person who refuses to live in excuses. Growth requires sacrifice. You will have to give up habits that are comfortable but destructive. You will have to end relationships that hold you back. You will have to ignore distractions that steal your potential. You will have to stop entertaining emotions that sabotage your progress. You will have to outgrow environments that do not match your future. Everything you keep that belongs to your old life keeps you from the new life you want. Many people never experience transformation because they refuse to let go. They cling to their comfort zones like anchors. They cling to their past like it's a home. They cling to their excuses like their protection. But the moment you cling to anything that keeps you small, you reject the opportunity to become more. If you want to grow, you must release everything that shrinks you. Becoming more means doing the work when nobody is watching. It means practicing discipline when nobody is checking. It means doing what's right even when no one will know. That's how character forms. Character is the foundation of greatness. Without character, success collapses. Without character, blessings are wasted. Without character, opportunities slip away. People love the idea of becoming more until they realize it requires confronting themselves. Becoming more means facing your flaws instead of hiding them. It means taking responsibility instead of blaming circumstances. It means acknowledging your weaknesses instead of pretending you're fine. It means committing to self-improvement every single day. Not when it's convenient, not when you feel motivated, not when things are going well. Every day. Becoming more is not a one-time transformation. It's a daily evolution. You don't wake up transformed. You wake up committed. You don't become more by accident. You become more through intentional growth. You challenge your thoughts. You challenge your behaviors. You challenge your limitations. You challenge your excuses. You challenge the version of yourself that wants to stay small. Little by little, you rise. Your mindset strengthens. Your confidence grows. Your discipline sharpens. Your self-control increases. Your focus intensifies. Your resilience deepens. One day you look in the mirror and realize you become someone you used to dream about. Not because life changed first, but because you changed first. Life will always meet you at the level of your self-development. If you want more, you must become the person who can hold more, sustain more, appreciate more, and protect more. The only limits that exist are the limits of the person you choose to remain. When you grow, your world grows. When you elevate, your opportunities elevate. When you expand, your life expands. Transformation does not start outside of you. Transformation starts within you. Everybody wants to get to the next level, but nobody wants to feel the pain that gets you there. We live in a world where people want the rewards without the struggle, the progress without the pressure, the achievement without the adversity. But listen to me. Your pain is not a sign that you're failing. Your pain is a sign that you're growing. Every time you feel life pressing you, stretching you, pulling you, challenging you, that's life preparing you for the version of yourself you keep asking for. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the pathway. People run from pain like it's something designed to destroy them. But the truth is the opposite. Pain is the tool life uses to strengthen you. Pain is the mechanism that shapes you. Pain is the unseen sculptor chiseling away the parts of you that can never. The version of you that exists today cannot carry the weight of the blessings you want tomorrow. So life puts you through seasons of discomfort to build you up, harden your mindset, and expand your capacity. Look back on every defining moment of your life. Think about any time you grew, evolved, matured. It wasn't during the easy season. It wasn't when everything was smooth, predictable, comfortable. You grew when things were difficult. You grew when your heart was heavy. You grew when you were disappointed, discouraged, or betrayed. You grew when life forced you to choose between quitting and becoming strong. That pain you felt, it was the breaking of the old you. It was the stretching of your character. It was the evidence that transformation was taking place inside you. You cannot pray for strength and expect life to give you comfort. Strength is built through resistance. It's built through struggle. Muscles only grow when they are pushed beyond their limits. Character only grows when it is tested. This is why people who refuse to endure pain stay exactly where they are. They never break through because they run away the very moment growth is trying to take root. If you keep avoiding discomfort, you will keep avoiding transformation. Every time life hurts, life is trying to tell you something. You are evolved. You are transitioning. You are shedding layers of insecurity, doubt, fear, and weakness. That's why it hurts. Growth is not gentle. Growth is not soft. Growth is not soft. Growth is not soothing. It's the tearing away of the familiar. It's the destruction of old patterns. It's the dismantling of who you used to be. And that process is painful. But without that process, there's no next level. That pain is proof that you are being prepared for something bigger. You cannot walk into a greater destiny with the mindset, habits, discipline, or emotional capacity of a smaller self. Life knows what you are capable of, even when you don't. So life pushes you, pressures you, challenges you, and sometimes even breaks you. Not to punish you, but to rebuild you stronger, wiser, sharper, more focused. Pain is not meant to stop you. Pain is meant to transform you. People who achieve greatness don't do it because their lives were easy. They do it because their lives were used pain as fuel instead of seeing it as a threat. They understood that pain wasn't blocking their path. It was their path. Every setback pushed them toward deeper resilience. Every failure taught them discipline. Every heartbreak taught them clarity. Every loss increased their hunger. The pain shaped them for the success they eventually stepped in. Pain teaches you things comfort never will. When you're hurting, you learn what truly matters. When you're hurting, you learn who you really are. When you're hurting, you learn who your real friends are. When you're hurting, you learn how strong you can be. And when you look back later, you realize that what felt like breaking was actually building. What felt like loss was actually alignment. What felt like punishment was actually preparation. But you have to stop resenting pain and start respecting it. You have to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, oh, what is this trying to teach me? Pain always comes with a lesson. Maybe it's teaching you resilience. Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you boundary. Maybe it's teaching you discipline. Maybe it's teaching you to let go. But there is always a lesson. Pain never arrives without purpose. There will be moments in your life when the pain feels unbearable. Moments when you wake up with heaviness in your chest. Moments when disappointment hits you so hard it knocks the breath out of you. Moments when you question your worth, your direction, your strength. Moments when you feel alone, misunderstood, unseen. These are not signs that life is unfair. These are signs that life is refining you. Diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is purified through fire. Seeds grow in darkness. Every living thing must endure discomfort before it transforms. Your next level will demand a version of you that doesn't break under pressure. So life gives you pressure now. Your next level will demand a version of you that doesn't collapse when things get difficult. So life gives you difficulty now. Your next level will require emotional maturity, mental resilience, unwavering focus. Life gives you pain to build the traits within you. The pain you feel today is equipping you for the opportunities you want tomorrow. If you quit during the painful seasons, you walk away from the very things that were designed to elevate you. You walk away from breakthroughs. You walk away from upgrades. You walk away from growth. You walk away from the person you were destined to become. You delay your destiny every time you avoid discomfort. But if you endure the pain, if you sit with it, face it, learn from it, grow through it, you emerge different, you emerge stronger, you emerge wiser, you emerge more dangerous in the best way. That's how champions are made. Not in calm waters, but in storms. Not in comfort, but in chaos. Not in ease, but in hardship. The pain reshapes something inside you. It shifts your perspective. It expands your capacity. It deepens your hunger. And once the pain finishes its work, you become unstoppable. Sometimes pain is the only thing that forces you to move. You don't change when you're comfortable. You don't evolve when everything is smooth. You don't transform when life feels good. You change when you're hurt. You change when you're frustrated. You change when the discomfort becomes unbearable. That's when you stop tolerating mediocrity. That's when you stop making excuses. That's when you stop accepting less. Pain pushes you out of places you were never meant to stay. Pain forces you to let go of things that were limiting your potential. Pain pushes you into alignment with who you're supposed to be. There are seasons where pain feels like it has no purpose. Seasons where everything seems to go wrong. Seasons where you feel attacked from every direction. Seasons where the pressure keeps building no matter how hard you fight. And in those seasons, it's easy to believe that life is against you. But what you don't realize in the moment is that life is shaping you in ways you'll only understand later. Nothing is wasted. Not the tears, not the heartbreak, not the losses, not the disappointments. They are all working together to create a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of you. The next level isn't about what you get, it's about who you become. It's about who you become. And you cannot become that version of yourself without pain. You can't. Every great destiny requires painful refinement. Every great purpose requires painful preparation. Every elevation requires painful stretching. Pain is the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to be. You may not see it now. You may not understand it now. You may not even want it now. But one day, you will look back and realize that the painful moments were the turning points. The pain gave you the courage you were missing. The pain gave you the strength you didn't know you had. The pain unlocked potential you didn't know existed. The pain closed doors that were never meant for you. The pain freed you from things that were holding you back. The pain opened your eyes to your own power. The pain forced you to grow into someone greater. Your pain is not random. Your pain is not meaningless. Your pain is pushing you, shaping you, elevating you. It is the pathway to your next level. That consistency is not flashy. Consistency is not glamorous. Consistency does not get likes or applause or attention. Consistency is quiet, steady, relentless, and often invisible. And that is exactly why it is the ultimate weapon. Most people are looking for shortcuts, instant results, overnight success, but life does not work that way. Progress is not an event, it's a process. Success is not a sudden explosion. It is the accumulation of countless small actions done over time. The people who rise to the top are not necessarily more talented than everyone else. They are more consistent. They show up day after day, even when they don't feel like it. They do the work even when no one is watching. They commit to the process even when progress seems invisible. That is the power of consistency. That is the ultimate weapon. You cannot build greatness on occasional effort. You cannot achieve extraordinary results with sporadic discipline. Talent will take you part of the way. Motivation will take you part of the way, but only consistency will carry you to the finish line. Every skill you acquire, every opportunity you create, every dream you chase is shaped by repeated action over time. The difference between the person who accomplishes their goals and the person who only dreams about them is the willingness to persist when others stop. That is the quiet, unstoppable power of consistency. Consistency is about showing up even when the work is hard. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when nobody sees it, even when it feels like nothing is happening, even when your energy is low, even when life is pressing against you. Consistency is about honoring your commitments to yourself, not just the commitments you make to others. Most people are consistent in their excuses, but inconsistent in their effort. That is why most people never experience the results they dream about. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect condition, the perfect motivation, but the truth is there will never be a perfect time. Consistency is what moves you forward when conditions are imperfect. Consistency is what separates winners from everyone else. The consistency builds momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. Every small step, every repeated action compounds over time. One day, the work that seems small and insignificant suddenly adds up to something powerful. One day, all the mornings you forced yourself to wake up early, all the hours you devoted to improving your skills, all the sacrifices you made when it would have been easier to quit, all of that effort multiplies. And when that day comes, people will look at your life and call it success, but you will know it is the result of the quiet, consistent effort that nobody saw. Momentum is created by consistency, and consistency is the ultimate weapon because it turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Consistency is not about being perfect. It is not about never missing a day, never making a mistake, never experiencing failure. Consistency is about commitment. It is about persistence. It is about returning to the work over and over again, regardless of setbacks, mistakes, or failures. Every time you fail, but get back up and keep going, you are strengthening your consistency. Every time you push forward despite obstacles, you are building momentum. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you are wielding the ultimate weapon of growth. Consistency is not about doing everything flawlessly. It is about doing something faithfully. Most people underestimate the power of repetition. They look at results and think that success is instantaneous, that achievement is magical, that some people were simply born lucky. But the truth is that greatness is earned one repetition at a time. One day, one effort, one action repeated consistently over months and years creates results that appear miraculous to outsiders. But those results are never a surprise. They are the inevitable consequence of relentless, disciplined action. Consistency guarantees results over time. It cannot be rushed. It cannot be faked. It cannot be replaced by desire alone. Action without consistency is wasted energy. Consistency without action is invisible. But action paired with consistency is unstoppable. Consistency also builds trust in yourself and trust from others. When you show up for yourself every day, you begin to believe in your own potential. You learn that you are capable of following through, capable of discipline, capable of handling responsibility. When you consistently deliver, consistently improve, consistently show up, people start to notice. Doors begin to open, opportunities start to appear, and life responds to the reliability you have built. Consistency creates credibility, and credibility builds influence. Consistency is what allows ordinary people to become leaders, role models, and examples that others want to follow. It is the ultimate weapon because it works silently to shape perception, character, and destiny. Consistency forces you to grow even when it's uncomfortable. It requires discipline when you are tired. It requires focus when your mind wanders. It requires action when you want to quit. Growth never happens in comfort zones. Growth happens when you push past resistance, keep showing up, and continue doing what needs to be done, even when the reward isn't immediate. Consistency teaches patience. Consistency teaches endurance. Consistency teaches resilience. And those are the qualities that turn ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. Many people fail because they rely on motivation instead of consistency. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you will feel motivated. Other days you will feel unmotivated, tired, distracted, or discouraged. But if you rely solely on motivation, your progress will be inconsistent, your results will be uneven, and your dreams will remain out of reach. Consistency does not rely on how you feel. Consistency relies on what you choose to do, regardless of circumstances or emotions. The disciplined, consistent choice is what separates those who achieve from those who merely dream. Consistency is also a form of mastery. Every skill you want to develop requires repeated practice. Every habit you want to form requires repetition. Every relationship you want to strengthen requires regular effort. Every goal you want to achieve requires persistent action. The person who consistently studies, consistently trains, consistently invests, consistently communicates, consistently improves, consistently sacrifices, this person eventually becomes unstoppable. Mastery is not an accident. It is earned through consistent, deliberate practice over time. The ultimate weapon of consistency also protects you from the distractions of life. There will always be things that try to derail you. Temptation, fear, doubt, criticism, setbacks, failure, exhaustion, and comparison. These are inevitable. But when you commit to consistency, these distractions lose power. They cannot stop you because your focus is unwavering. They cannot shake you because your habits are strong. They cannot derail you because your identity is rooted in the daily practice of showing up, doing the work, and staying committed. Consistency is the shield that keeps you moving forward when chaos surrounds you. Consistency is cumulative. Every small choice you make compounds over time. One day, 1 hour, one effort may seem insignificant, but repeated faithfully, these small actions produce exponential results. 1 hour a day of improvement, one disciplined act, one extra push, one moment of perseverance, repeated for months and years, transforms your life. This is why small, consistent actions are more powerful than occasional bursts of effort. The ultimate weapon is not in the intensity of isolated moments. It is in the reliability of repeated action. Consistency also teaches you humility and patience. You learn that results are not instant. You learn that shortcuts are illusions. You learn that there are no magic formulas. You learn to embrace the journey, focus on the process, and trust that your steady effort will yield results. Patience and humility are rare in a world that demands instant gratification, but they are the hallmarks of people who achieve greatness. When you practice consistency, you develop the mental toughness required to endure setbacks, delays, and failures without giving up. Consistency is the foundation for excellence. Excellence is not achieved through occasional brilliance. It is achieved through daily diligence. The person who is consistent in their craft, their discipline, their effort, and their habits naturally rises above the rest. Excellence becomes inevitable because it is the product of daily, repeated commitment to quality, growth, and improvement. The ultimate weapon works quietly, invisibly, and relentlessly to turn ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Most people underestimate the power of showing up. They think success is about one big break, one lucky opportunity, or one moment of genius. But real success is built on countless small acts of consistency that go unnoticed, unrewarded, and unrecognized at first. Every day you do what needs to be done. Even when it's difficult, inconvenient, or boring, you are building momentum, creating trust, developing skill, and shaping your future. Every repeated effort compounds, and over time, these efforts yield results far greater than anything you could have imagined. Consistency also builds confidence. When you know you have followed through on your commitments, when you know you have done the work day after day, you develop unshakable faith in yourself. You learn that you can handle challenges, overcome obstacles, and endure setbacks. Confidence does not come from talent alone. It comes from repeated proof to yourself that you are reliable, disciplined, and capable. Consistency is the ultimate weapon because it transforms your internal belief system, giving you the courage to take bold action, seize opportunity, and embrace challenges that would intimidate others. Consistency creates a ripple effect. Influences your mindset, your habits, your relationships, and your environment. Your consistent actions inspire others. They set a standard for those around you. They create accountability. They establish credibility. Your consistency not only propels you forward, but also affects the people you touch. That is why consistency is powerful beyond just results. It shapes character, influence, and legacy. It is the ultimate weapon because it is unstoppable, unshakable, and transformative. The power of consistency lies in its persistence. It never rests, never complains, never doubts, and never quits. It keeps moving forward, one step at a time, one day at a time, one effort at a time. It's patient but relentless. It is quiet but lethal. It is the secret advantage of those who outlast, outwork, and outgrow the competition. No shortcut, no magic trick, no motivational speech can replace it. Consistency is the weapon that ensures long-term success, growth, and achievement. And when wielded with focus, discipline, and faith, it becomes unstoppable. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation is temporary. Motivation comes and goes like the wind. One day you wake up ready to conquer the world. You feel inspired. You feel unstoppable. You feel like you can take on anything. And the next day the alarm goes off. Your body feels tired. Your mind feels heavy. And that fire inside you is nowhere to be found. Motivation is unreliable because it depends on how you feel. It depends on your circumstances. It depends on external factors that you cannot control. And if you rely solely on motivation to get results, you will fail more often than you succeed. Discipline, however, does not rely on feeling. Discipline is not emotional. Discipline does not wait for perfect conditions. Discipline is the ultimate engine that keeps you moving forward, even when motivation is gone. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. Motivation gets started, but discipline keeps you going. No. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the flame that never dies. People who achieve greatness are not necessarily the ones who feel like working every day. They are the ones who do the work even when they don't feel like it. Discipline is the habit of showing up, putting in the effort, and doing the work no matter how inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging it is. That is why discipline beats motivation every single time. Motivation is nice, but discipline is necessary. Without discipline, motivation will only take you so far before it leaves you stranded. Most people mistake inspiration for action. They attend a seminar, read a book, watch a motivational video, and feel pumped up. They feel ready to change their lives. They feel like nothing can stop them. And then life hits. The bills, the work, the distractions, the doubts, and suddenly that fire has burned out. That's the problem with relying on motivation. It is external, temporary, and fragile. Discipline is internal, consistent, and unstoppable. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if life is hard or easy, if people believe in you or not, if the conditions are perfect or terrible. Discipline says, I will do this regardless. Discipline is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary achievers. Anyone can get motivated for a day, a week, a month. Few people can sustain effort for years, decades even, without relying on temporary feelings of inspiration. Champions are not motivated every day. They are disciplined every day. They build routines, habits, and systems that ensure they continue moving toward their goals, regardless of whether they feel like it or not. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is far more effective than relying on motivation alone. Discipline also creates consistency, and consistency is the key to long-term success. Small efforts repeated over time produce massive results. One disciplined action today, repeated tomorrow, and the next day compounds into something extraordinary. Motivation may give you bursts of energy, but without discipline, those bursts fade. Discipline ensures that even on your worst days, you do something toward your goal. You keep showing up. You keep pushing. You keep grinding. That is why discipline beats motivation. It produces results when feelings fail. Discipline also builds character. When you do what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when nobody is watching, you are strengthening your self-control, your focus, and your resilience. Discipline forces you to confront yourself, your excuses, and your limitations. It challenges you to overcome laziness, fear, and distraction. It molds you into someone capable of holding greater responsibility, achieving greater results, and handling greater pressure. Motivation cannot do that because motivation fades when challenges appear. Discipline thrives in adversity. The problem most people face is that they want results without effort. They want rewards without responsibility. They want success without sacrifice. They look for motivation, thinking that it will be enough. They believe that if they just feel inspired enough, they will change their lives. But motivation is unreliable. Discipline is reliable. Discipline ensures that you do what you need to do, even when you don't feel like it, even when the world seems against you, even when the obstacles seem too large. Discipline ensures that effort becomes action, action becomes habit, and habit becomes results. Discipline also protects you from inconsistency. Many people start strong, motivated, inspired. But as soon as life gets hard, as soon as they face challenges, as soon as their energy wanes, they quit. They rely on how they feel in the moment. And when motivation fades, so do their efforts. Discipline does not rely on feelings. Discipline ensures that you keep going when the easy choice would be to quit. Discipline ensures that your actions are aligned with your goals, even when your emotions are misaligned. That is why discipline beats motivation every single time. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is not about never failing. It's not about never missing a day. Discipline is about returning to the work consistently. It is about doing the right thing, even if it is hard. It is about persistence over time. Even when you fail, discipline gets you back on track. Even when you make mistakes, discipline ensures that you continue moving forward. Motivation cannot rescue you when you stumble. Discipline can. That is the true power of discipline. It creates momentum, resilience, and long-term results. The most successful people in the world do not wait for motivation. They create discipline. They develop routines, habits, and systems that force them to act every day. They wake up early, put in the work, train their minds, and sharpen their skills. They follow through on commitments. They do the things that need to be done, whether they feel like it or not. Motivation may be nice to have, but discipline is essential. Motivation is the appetizer, discipline is the main course. Without the main course, the appetizer leaves you hungry. Discipline also allows you to overcome obstacles that would stop others. Life will always throw challenges, setbacks, and distractions your way. There will be days when you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or unmotivated. There will be times when people doubt you, circumstances disappoint you, and results seem invisible. Motivation cannot carry you through those moments because motivation is emotional and temporary. Discipline carries you because it is consistent, reliable, and unwavering. Discipline does not quit. Discipline does not complain. Discipline does not wait for conditions to be perfect. Discipline simply acts relentlessly and persistently. Discipline is also the key to mastery. Mastery is not achieved overnight. Mastery is not achieved by inspiration alone. Mastery is achieved through repetition, practice, and effort over time. Discipline ensures that you practice consistently, study relentlessly, train methodically, and refine your craft daily. Motivation may give you a burst of energy to start, but discipline ensures that you continue long enough to become excellent. Without discipline, potential is wasted. Without discipline, talent is meaningless. Without discipline, dreams remain just dreams. Discipline creates confidence because it proves to you that you can rely on yourself. When you are disciplined, you know that your actions are aligned with your goals. You know that even on your worst days, you can take steps towards success. You know that setbacks cannot stop you because your commitment is stronger than your circumstances. Motivation may come and go, but discipline builds internal reliability. Confidence born from discipline is unshakable because it is based on repeated proof to yourself that you can do the work, handle the pressure, and overcome challenges. Discipline also teaches accountability. When you rely on discipline instead of motivation, you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or your feelings for your results. You take responsibility for your actions, your habits, and your outcomes. You stop making excuses and start taking control. That accountability builds character, integrity, and strength. Motivation may inspire excuses when it fades. Discipline eliminates excuses because it requires action regardless of circumstance. That is why discipline is the ultimate weapon for achieving results that last. Discipline is cumulative. Every disciplined action builds on the previous one. One day of discipline may seem small. 1 hour of focused effort may seem insignificant. One extra step, one extra rep, one extra hour, one extra choice, repeated consistently, compounds over time. That compounding effect is what separates winners from everyone else. Motivation cannot create compounding results because it is inconsistent. Discipline, applied daily, guarantees that your efforts grow exponentially. That's why discipline beats motivation every single time. If you want results that matter, if you want to reach your potential, if you want to become the best version of yourself, you cannot rely on motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is what moves you when inspiration fails. Discipline is what ensures that you are consistent, focused, and committed. Discipline is the foundation of achievement. Discipline is the engine that drives dreams into reality. Discipline is what creates unstoppable momentum. Motivation may light the fire, but discipline keeps it burning until your goals are achieved. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. The people you surround yourself with, the places you spend your time, the habits you adopt, the conversations you listen to, the media you consume. All of these things influence your mindset, your energy, your expectations, and ultimately your results. If you want to reach a higher level, if you want to elevate in life, You have to examine your environment. You cannot expect to grow in the same place, around the same people, with the same influences, and suddenly elevate. Your environment either propels you forward or holds you back. It is that simple. And most people underestimate just how much influence it has over their destiny. Look at your closest friends, your colleagues, your family, the people you spend the most time with. Are they encouraging, motivating, ambitious? Or are they negative, complacent, and content with mediocrity? The energy, mindset, and habits of those around you will either push you toward greatness or pull you back into the same patterns that have kept you small. Your environment sets the standard for what you believe is possible. If you want to raise your standards, you must raise your environment. If you want to elevate your life, you must elevate the people, places, and influences that surround you. Most people don't realize how much subtle influence is happening every day. The words people speak, the conversations they have, the attitudes they display, the examples they set, these are all absorbed unconsciously. You think you're immune, but your mind is constantly being shaped by your surroundings. If your environment is full of doubt, negativity, and excuses, you will unconsciously adopt those same patterns. If your environment is full of ambition, positivity, and action, you will be inspired to act at a higher level. Your environment determines the ceiling of your potential. If you want more, you have to create the conditions for growth. Sometimes the people closest to you don't want you to change, and that's okay. But it's dangerous if you let them control your trajectory. People who have never achieved what you desire may unconsciously or consciously try to keep you at their level. They may criticize your efforts, dismiss your goals, or discourage your dreams. That's why elevation often requires making tough decisions about who you allow into your inner circle. Elevation requires courage. It requires clarity. It requires the willingness to distance yourself from influences that do not support your growth. Your environment will either lift you or limit you, and it is your responsibility to choose wisely. Your environment is not just the people you interact with. It's also the places you inhabit. But are you spending your time in locations, physical or digital, that encourage growth? Are you in spaces that stimulate your mind, challenge your abilities, and inspire your ambition? Or are you in spaces that encourage comfort, distraction, and complacency? If you want to rise, you must be intentional about where you spend your energy. Elevation cannot occur in stagnant, draining, or limiting spaces. You must seek environments that nurture your vision, expand your capabilities, and support your growth. The media you consume also shapes your mindset. What you read, watch, listen to, or scroll through influences your beliefs, values, and expectations. Most people fill their minds with entertainment that reinforces limitation instead of inspiration that encourages growth. If you want to elevate, you must feed your mind with content that challenges you, motivates you, and educates you. Books, podcasts, mentors, and programs that push you to think bigger, work harder, and become better are tools for transformation. Your environment is not just physical, it is mental. Elevation requires curating both. Your environment influences not only your mindset, but also your habits. The people and places around you subtly dictate what you tolerate, what you accept, and what you practice. If everyone around you settles, procrastinates, and complains, it is easy to adopt the same habits without even realizing it. If everyone around you works hard, prioritizes growth, and refuses to quit, you will naturally be influenced to act similarly. The environment you create is the framework that supports your actions. Elevation is impossible without aligning your habits with your goals, and your habits are shaped by your surroundings. Sometimes elevating your environment requires sacrifice. It may mean stepping away from long-standing relationships, leaving familiar spaces, or giving up comfortable routines that no longer serve your growth. That is uncomfortable, and that's why so many people fail to elevate. People cling to familiarity even when it keeps them small. They fear isolation, judgment, or change. But elevation demands that you place yourself in spaces and among people who reflect the version of yourself you aspire to become. You cannot rise while staying in a place that thrives on stagnation. Your environment is the soil in which your potential grows, If the soil is poor, your growth will be limited. If the soil is fertile, your growth will be exponential. Your environment also dictates the energy you carry. Negativity, doubt, gossip, and fear are contagious. Optimism, resilience, determination, and ambition are contagious. If you want to be at a higher level, you must immerse yourself in energy that lifts, inspires, and empowers. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your progress, challenge your limits, and encourage you to better. Your environment becomes a reflection of your energy, and your energy determines your elevation. Elevation is often about proximity. You must get close to people who have what you want. That doesn't mean copying them or becoming them, but learning from them, modeling their behavior, and absorbing their mindset. Being around high achievers forces you to think differently, act differently, and demand more from yourself. You cannot stay average while consistently surrounding yourself with mediocrity. You cannot rise above the level of the people and influence closest to you. Your environment is the context in which your growth is possible, and proximity to greatness accelerates your journey. Sometimes the environment you need doesn't exist yet in your current life, and that's when you must create it. Seek mentors, build networks, find communities, and develop relationships with people who challenge you and inspire you. Surround yourself with individuals who refuse to accept mediocrity, who demand excellence, who push you to think bigger. Your environment is not just what you inherit, it is what you cultivate. Elevation is a choice, and that choice often requires deliberately designing the spaces, people, and influences that will shape your future. Your environment also impacts your mindset in subtle ways. If you are constantly exposed to fear, doubt, criticism, or negativity, your thoughts will reflect those patterns. You will begin to see limitations where there are possibilities, obstacles where there are opportunities, and excuses where there could be action. Your environment influences your perception of what is possible. Elevation requires feeding your mind with optimism, resilience, and possibility thinking. It requires being around people and influences that expand your thinking instead of contracting it. Elevation is not just about removing negative influences. It's also about adding positive ones. Find those who inspire you, mentor you, and hold you accountable. Surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do and willing to share their knowledge. Enter spaces that encourage learning, growth, and creativity. Consume media that motivates and educates. Read books that challenge your assumptions. Listen to voices that expand your perspective. The quality of your environment will determine the quality of your elevation. Your environment shapes your identity. Over time, the people, spaces, and influences around you seep into your behavior, your choices, and your beliefs. You become a reflection of what you allow in. If you spend time around people who complain, doubt themselves, and settle, you will unconsciously adopt similar patterns. If you spend time with individuals who are ambitious, disciplined, and growth-oriented, you will naturally be influenced to rise. Elevation requires awareness of this truth and intentional design of your environment to support the version of yourself you want to become. Your environment also shapes your resilience. Challenges, setbacks, and adversity are inevitable, but the support, energy, and perspective of your environment determine how you respond. A positive, growth-oriented environment encourages perseverance, teaches problem-solving, and reinforces determination. A negative, stagnant environment breeds defeatism, excuses, and stagnation. Elevation requires that you embed yourself in environments that strengthen your ability to endure, adapt, and thrive under pressure. Your surroundings amplify or diminish your ability to respond to life's challenges. Your environment is the invisible force that either lifts you toward greatness or holds you back. Most people underestimate it because they focus on external achievement rather than internal alignment. But external success cannot be sustained without internal elevation. Elevation is rooted in the people, places, and influences that shape your mindset, habits, energy, and perspective. If you want more, if you want higher, if you want to elevate, you must first elevate your environment. It's the secret that most people overlook, but it is the foundation of every extraordinary life. Excuses are the silent killers of dreams. They are the invisible chains that keep people trapped in mediocrity, the walls that prevent progress, the the invisible weight that stops potential from being realized. Every time you say, I can't because, or if only, or I'm too tired, too busy, too weak, you are giving power to excuses instead of excellence. Excuses are the enemy of greatness, and the harsh truth is that anyone who wants to achieve more, be more, and live more must eliminate them completely. Excellence is never achieved by rationalizing, justifying, or explaining why you can't. Excellence is achieved by taking responsibility, showing up, and doing the work no matter the circumstances. The world is full of people with talent, potential, and intelligence who never achieve what they are capable of because they make excuses. They blame their upbringing, their environment, their boss, the economy, their health, or even their own fear. They think that by explaining why they can't, they can somehow avoid the discomfort of growth. But excuses are just lies we tell ourselves to avoid taking responsibility. They feel like protection, but they are really prisons. They keep you small. They keep you safe. They keep you stuck. And if you want to be excellent, you must confront the fact that excuses are holding you back. Excuses are seductive because they feel justified. You can make an excuse, and it sounds reasonable. It sounds logical. It even sounds true in some sense. But excuses are always a choice. They are a mental habit. You can either allow them to dictate your life, or you can choose to rise above them. Every time you give in to an excuse, you choose stagnation over growth. You choose comfort over progress. You choose mediocrity over excellence. Excellence demands that you refuse to entertain excuses, no matter how tempting they are, no matter how comfortable they feel, no matter how convenient they seem. One of the reasons excuses are so dangerous is that they are incremental. They start small. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired today. I'll get to it when I feel ready. And before you know it, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Habits of excuses compound over time, and what was once a minor avoidance turns into a life of unrealized potential. Excuses are the slow killers of ambition. They make failure feel painless in the moment, but the long-term cost is devastating. Excellence cannot coexist with excuses because excuses erode consistency, commitment, and character. Excuses are also contagious. If you surround yourself with people who make excuses, you unconsciously adopt the same mindset. I can't because becomes normalized. Complaints, rationalizations, and blame become part of your environment. That is why it is critical to be aware of not only your own excuses, but the excuses of the people around you. Mediocrity loves company, and excuses love companionship. Elevation requires cutting out the excuses of others, resisting the pressure to rationalize, and refusing to let the limiting beliefs of the crowd shape your potential. Excuses are an attempt to avoid responsibility. When you make an excuse, you are implicitly saying, this is not my fault. I cannot control this. I am powerless. But the truth is that excellence is born from taking full responsibility for your actions, your results, and your growth. Responsibility is uncomfortable. It requires honesty, courage, and humility. It forces you to look in the mirror and confront your weaknesses, your limitations, and your mistakes. Excuses offer an illusion of safety, but they are a trap. Responsibility is freedom, and freedom is the prerequisite for excellence. Excuses are also a distraction from action. Every time you make an excuse, you spend energy on justification rather than execution. You spend mental bandwidth explaining why you can't, rather than figuring out how you can. You focus on the obstacle instead of the solution. Excellence requires action, persistence, and creative problem solving. Excuses waste time, waste energy, and waste potential. They are the enemy of productivity, progress, and performance. Every great achiever understands that the difference between success and failure is action, and action cannot coexist with excuses. Many people cling to excuses because they are comfortable. Excuses allow you to feel okay about inaction. They allow you to preserve your ego. You can feel justified and self-righteous while the world passes you by. Excuses are comforting because they absolve you of responsibility, and yet that comfort comes at a cost. Every time you make an excuse, you delay your potential, postpone your growth, and reject the opportunity to become excellent. Excellence is never comfortable. Excellence always requires sacrifice, struggle, and discipline. Excuses are the antithesis of that struggle. And if you want to achieve your best, you must reject them entirely. Excuses are also rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort, fear of change. Fear is natural, but letting fear dictate your actions creates excuses. Every excuse you make is a manifestation of fear, and fear is the opposite of excellence. To be excellent, you must confront your fears directly. You must act in spite of them. You must refuse to let fear, doubt, or insecurity justify inaction. Excellence is built when you do what is necessary even when it scares you. Excuses are the cowardly alternative to courage, and courage is non-negotiable for anyone who wants to achieve greatness. Excuses also rob you of accountability. When you make excuses, you transfer responsibility to someone else or something else. You blame the system, the people, the circumstances, or the timing. That is convenient, but it is also destructive. Accountability forces you to own your choices, your mistakes, and your results. It forces you to grow and improve. Excuses, on the other hand, remove that pressure and allow stagnation. Excellence demands accountability because it is the engine of self-improvement. Without accountability, your growth is arbitrary. Without accountability, your potential remains dormant. Excuses are the enemy of that accountability, and by extension, the enemy of excellence. Excuses are a trap because they often feel justified. You can tell yourself, I have reasons, I have obstacles, I have limitations, and it will feel reasonable. But reasonable does not equal productive. Justification feels good, but it produces nothing. Excellence is not about feeling good. It is about producing results, achieving goals, and becoming the best version of yourself. You cannot achieve excellence while rationalizing your failure. You cannot reach your potential while hiding behind explanation. Every excuse you make is a choice to remain average, and average is the enemy of greatness. Excuses are also short-term thinking. They focus on the immediate comfort rather than the long-term gain. I can't do this today. I'll wait until conditions are better. It's an excuse. It prioritizes comfort over growth. Excellence, on the other hand, requires long-term thinking. It requires delayed gratification. It requires doing what is necessary now, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or challenging, in order to reap the rewards later. Excuses sabotage that long-term vision. They are the enemy of discipline, the enemy of patience, and the enemy of perseverance. Excellence thrives in long-term action, not short-term rationalization. Excuses are also corrosive to your confidence. Every time you make an excuse instead of taking action, you reinforce a belief that you are limited, powerless, or incapable. That belief grows stronger over time, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Excellence requires confidence, the belief that you can handle challenges, overcome obstacles, and achieve your goals. Excuses erode that confidence because they teach you that failure is inevitable, that obstacles are insurmountable, and that inaction is acceptable. Rejecting excuses strengthens your confidence because it forces you to rely on your capabilities rather than your rationalizations. Excellence is not something you stumble into by accident. It is earned through relentless effort, unwavering focus, and the refusal to settle for mediocrity. Excuses are the opposite of that effort. They are the mental shortcuts that allow you to justify inaction, avoid discomfort, and escape responsibility. They are the enemy because they prevent progress, erode discipline, and rob you of potential. Every person who achieves greatness has learned to identify excuses, confront them, and act anyway. That is the difference between those who dream and those who do. Eliminating excuses requires honesty, courage, and accountability. You must be willing to admit when you are making excuses, recognize the impact they have on your life, and choose action over justification. You must stop blaming circumstances, stop waiting for permission, and stop rationalizing your limitations. Excellence is not found in excuses. It is found in execution. Every step forward you take despite obstacles, every effort you make despite fear, every action you take despite discomfort builds momentum and results. Excuses do the opposite. They halt progress and steal momentum. Excuses are the enemy of excellence because they are comfortable, deceptive, and convincing. They feel real, they feel justified, they feel reasonable, but they always produce failure instead of success, inaction instead of achievement, and stagnation instead of growth. Excellence demands that you refuse the allure of excuses, confront your fears, embrace responsibility, and take relentless action. Every time you overcome an excuse, you gain strength, momentum, and clarity. Every time you act despite discomfort, you move closer to your potential. Excuses must be eliminated if you want to achieve your best. That success is not free. Nobody gets to the top without paying a price. There is a cost to every dream, a toll for every ambition, and a price for every level of greatness you want to reach. That price is sacrifice. Sacrifice is not popular. Sacrifice is not convenient. Sacrifice is not easy, but it is necessary. If you want something bigger than your current life, if you want results that match your vision, if you want a future that surpasses your past, you have to be willing to give up something today in order to get something greater tomorrow. Sacrifice is the currency of success, and every person who achieves greatness understands that truth. Sacrifice is uncomfortable because it forces you to do things you do not want to do. It forces you to delay gratification, to resist temptation, to choose long-term benefit over short-term pleasure. Most people avoid sacrifice because it requires discipline, focus, and discomfort. They want the rewards without the struggle, the results without the effort, the recognition without the cost. But life does not work that way. Every level of success requires payment. Every dream demands exchange. If you want more, you have to be willing to give more. The higher the reward, the greater the sacrifice. That is the law of achievement. Sacrifice often means giving up comfort. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Most people settle because they are comfortable. They choose easy over hard, safe over challenging, familiar over growth. But comfort does not build excellence. Comfort does not produce champions. Comfort does not create legacy. Sacrifice requires stepping out of that comfort zone. It requires early mornings, late nights, and consistent effort even when your body and mind scream for rest. It requires saying no to distractions, avoiding temptations, and staying focused on your purpose even when the world is noisy. Excellence cannot coexist with comfort because it demands more than what is easy, and that more is sacrifice. Sacrifice is also about prioritizing. You cannot have everything at once. Every choice you make has an opportunity cost. Every hour you spend on leisure is an hour you do not spend building your dream. Every day you choose distractions over discipline, you are choosing to delay your results. To succeed, you must learn to prioritize what truly matters. You must be willing to give up things that feel urgent but are not important. You must sacrifice short-term satisfaction for long-term achievement. Those who understand the power of sacrifice learn to distinguish between what they want now and what they want most. Sacrifice is often lonely. When you are on the path to success, not everyone will understand what you are doing. People may question your choices, criticize your focus, or doubt your priorities. Friends may abandon you, family may be confused, and colleagues may envy your commitment. That is part of the cost. Sacrifice requires courage. The courage to keep moving forward even when the people around you do not understand. You must accept that elevation requires isolation at times because the journey to greatness is not a social activity. It is a commitment to your purpose, and purpose often demands solitude and discipline. Sacrifice also tests your discipline and character. It is easy to say you want success. It is easy to dream, plan, and visualize. But sacrifice separates the dreamers from the doers. Sacrifice forces you to act when it is hard, to stay committed when it is inconvenient, and to persevere when everyone else quits. It reveals what you are willing to endure to achieve your goals. Those who refuse to sacrifice will remain ordinary. Those who embrace sacrifice will become extraordinary. Sacrifice is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the training ground for greatness. Sacrifice requires patience. The results you desire will not appear overnight. Every hour of hard work, every late night, every early morning, every moment of resisting temptation is an investment that compounds over time. The impact of your sacrifices may not be visible immediately, but they are always creating momentum. They are always moving you closer to your goal. Patience is the companion of sacrifice. It teaches you to trust the process, to embrace the discomfort, and to keep showing up even when the reward is not yet tangible. Excellence is delayed gratification in action. Sacrifice also demands consistency. One act of sacrifice is not enough to create success. Greatness is built through repeated sacrifice over and over, day after day. Is the sum of small, consistent decisions to prioritize your future over your present comfort. Every day you choose to invest in your growth, to push yourself, to endure discomfort. You are accumulating the currency of success. Consistency amplifies the power of sacrifice. Without consistent action, even the noblest sacrifices can be wasted. Those who achieve excellence understand that small, repeated sacrifices over time create extraordinary results. Sacrifice is often misunderstood. Many people equate sacrifice with suffering or deprivation. They think that giving up something they love is punishment. But true sacrifice is a choice, a strategic decision to exchange something lesser for something greater. It is not about misery. It is about vision. It is about recognizing that the life you want is worth more than the comfort you have now. Every great achiever understands that momentary discomfort is a small price to pay for a lifetime of fulfillment. Sacrifice is a mindset. It is the conscious decision to invest in your future by giving up what you do not need today. Sacrifice also builds resilience. Every time you give up something easy for something hard, you strengthen your ability to endure challenges, overcome obstacles, and persist in adversity. Life will test you repeatedly. The path to success is rarely smooth. You will face setbacks, failures, and obstacles. Those who have practiced sacrifice are prepared to endure because they have learned to value long-term gain over short-term ease. Resilience is cultivated in the furnace of sacrifice. Every time you say no to comfort, no to distraction, and yes to growth, you are building the mental toughness required to achieve extraordinary results. Sacrifice is also about letting go of fear. Fear often masquerades as comfort, distraction, or hesitation. It whispers, it's too hard, it's too risky, or you'll fail. But those who succeed recognize that fear is the sign that sacrifice is required. Fear indicates that you are stepping into growth, that you are pushing boundaries, and that you are challenging yourself. Sacrifice is the antidote to fear. By committing to action despite fear, by prioritizing your vision over comfort, by enduring discomfort for the sake of your dreams, you neutralize fear and unlock potential. Every great achiever has learned that fear and sacrifice are intertwined. The greater the fear, the greater the sacrifice required, and the greater the reward on the other side. Sacrifice is also relational. It requires understanding that success may demand temporary adjustments in your social life, relationships, or leisure activities. You may have to work while others rest, focus while others play, and strive while others settle. That is not selfish, it is strategic. Sacrifice is an investment in your ability to provide, inspire, and impact others in the long term. Every moment of focus, every hour of discipline, every choice to prioritize growth over ease contributes to a life of purpose, influence, and legacy. Sacrifice is not just about personal gain. It is about creating the capacity to elevate others once you achieve your vision. Sacrifice requires vision. You must see beyond the immediate discomfort to the long-term reward. Without a clear vision, sacrifice feels meaningless. It feels like deprivation. It feels unfair. But when you have a vision of what is possible, every sacrifice becomes an investment. Every early morning, late night, hard decision, and moment of focus is a step toward your dream. Vision is the fuel that makes sacrifice tolerable, meaningful, and sustainable. Without vision, sacrifice is painful. With vision, sacrifice is transformative. Sacrifice is also about courage. It takes courage to pursue excellence. It takes courage to delay gratification, resist temptation, and prioritize long-term results over short-term pleasure. The path of success is filled with challenges, criticism, doubt, and setbacks. Only those who are willing to endure sacrifice, who are willing to push through discomfort, and who are willing to pay the price for their dreams, achieve extraordinary results. Courage and sacrifice are inseparable. Fear shrinks, sacrifice expands. Comfort constrains, sacrifice liberates. Sacrifice is the currency that buys your future. Every hour, every choice, every action you take to prioritize growth, progress, and excellence is an investment. The more you are willing to sacrifice now, the greater your potential reward. The world rewards those who are willing to pay the price, not those who wish for reward without effort. Every successful person, every high achiever, Every leader, every visionary has mastered the art of sacrifice. They understood that the life they wanted was worth the temporary discomfort, the missed leisure, the tough decisions, and the hard work. Sacrifice is the currency you must spend to elevate yourself. The ultimate truth is that nothing meaningful comes without sacrifice. No skill is developed without effort. No vision is realized without hard work. No legacy is built without giving up something today for something greater tomorrow. Sacrifice is unavoidable. The choice is not whether to sacrifice, but what you are willing to sacrifice. How much and for how long? Those who understand this principle and act on it consistently are the ones who achieve their dreams. Those who resist sacrifice remain where they are. Those who embrace it rise above. Sacrifice is not optional. It is the currency of success, and the wealth of your life will reflect how much you are willing to pay. Fear is one of the most powerful forces you will ever encounter in life. It is invisible, it is silent, and yet it controls more people than almost anything else. Fear is the voice that tells you to quit, the voice that tells you to play it safe, the voice that tells you that you are not good enough, not ready enough, or not capable enough. Fear disguises itself as caution, as rational thinking, as logic, and even as wisdom. But its ultimate goal is to stop you. It exists to paralyze you, to prevent action, and to keep you from achieving your potential. The problem is, if you never act because of fear, you will never know what you are truly capable of. Action conquers fear. Action is the antidote. Action is the weapon. Action is the path to freedom, the path to growth, and the path to greatness. Fear thrives on inaction. The more you hesitate, the more you delay, the bigger it grows. The more you think about what could go wrong, the stronger fear becomes. Feeds on your doubts, insecurities, and what ifs. It magnifies every possible risk and shrinks every possible opportunity. That is why fear feels so real. It has power when you let it dominate your mind. And that power comes from your inaction. But the moment you take action, even the smallest step, fear begins to lose its grip. Action is a declaration that you will not be controlled by your doubts. Action is a statement that you are willing to risk, willing to try, and willing to move forward, even if the outcome is uncertain. Action is courage made visible. The key to conquering fear is understanding that fear is inevitable. Everyone experiences fear. The most successful, the most courageous, the most accomplished people all feel fear. It is not the absence of fear that creates greatness. It is what you do in spite of fear. Fear will never go away completely, but action ensures that it does not dictate your life. Action is how you push past it, how you take control, and how you grow stronger every time you confront it. Fear is natural, but paralysis is optional. The people who achieve the most are not the ones who never feel fear. They are the ones who act despite it. Fear often disguises itself as excuses. You say, I can't do this because I might fail. I'm not ready, or the timing isn't right. That is fear talking through the voice of rationalization. It is your mind trying to protect you from discomfort. But comfort is the enemy of progress. The only way to silence fear is to act. The first step, the first attempt, the first effort is the most powerful weapon against fear. When you move, when you engage, when you take the first action, fear loses its dominance. It can whisper, it can linger, but it cannot stop you when you are doing. Action diminishes fear. Action replaces doubt with experience. Action replaces worry with results. Fear is magnified when you think too much. Overthinking is the fertile ground in which fear grows. You imagine every possible scenario, every potential failure, every judgment, every obstacle. You inflate the problem until it feels insurmountable. But the truth is, most of the fears you imagine never come to pass. They exist only in your mind. The way to conquer that fear is through action, testing your assumption, confronting reality, and moving forward despite uncertainty. Action transforms abstract fear into tangible experience. It turns imagined obstacles into manageable challenges. Action is proof that you are capable, even when your mind says otherwise. Action also teaches resilience. When you take action in the face of fear, you discover that you can survive setbacks, recover from failure, and continue moving forward. You learn that mistakes are not fatal, that failure is not the end, and that discomfort is temporary. Every time you act despite fear, you build courage, confidence, and competence. You strengthen your ability to handle the next challenge, the next risk, the next fear. Courage is not innate. It is developed through repeated action. Action conquers fear because it replaces inaction with experience, uncertainty with knowledge, and doubt with proof. Fear is amplified by comparison. When you look at what others are doing and feel like you cannot measure up, fear grows. Question your abilities, your readiness, and your potential. You convince yourself that you are not capable, not talented, or not experienced enough. But comparison is a trap because it distracts you from your own path. The cure is action. When you take action, you focus on your own journey, your own growth, your own progress. Action allows you to develop your skills, prove your capabilities, and build confidence. Fear shrinks when you move forward instead of looking sideways. Action also conquers fear because it creates momentum. The first step is always the hardest, but every step after that becomes easier. The more you act, the more experience you gain, the more your confidence grows, and the smaller fear becomes. Momentum is the force that turns hesitation into habit, doubt into courage, and fear into fuel. Once you start moving, it is easier to continue. Inertia is the enemy of action, and fear feeds on inertia. Taking that first step, doing that first thing you've been avoiding, breaking the cycle of hesitation, that is how you disarm fear and take control of your life. Fear is also a signal. It is not always a message to stop. Often it is a sign that you are about to grow. Fear usually shows up when you are stepping outside of your comfort zone, when you are pursuing something meaningful, when you are challenging yourself to be better. The people who never feel fear rarely accomplish anything significant. The people who feel fear and still act, those are the people who change their lives. Fear is an indicator that you are on the right path, and action is how you respond to that indicator. When fear appears, it is a cue to move forward, not backward. Many people fail to act because they are waiting for perfect conditions. They say, I will start tomorrow. I need more time. Or tomorrow, I need more resources. That is fear disguised as patience. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be ideal circumstances. Action is about starting where you are, with what you have and doing what you can. The act of moving forward despite imperfection is what conquers fear. Waiting for perfect conditions is a trap because fear thrives in waiting. Action breaks the cycle of waiting and proves that you are capable now, not someday. Action also builds confidence because it produces results. Every time you act, you generate evidence that you are capable. Every project you complete, every risk you take, every challenge you overcome reinforces the truth that you can do more than you thought. Confidence is not built by thinking. It is built by doing. The more you act despite fear, the stronger your belief in yourself becomes. Fear cannot withstand the force of repeated action because action creates proof. Action transforms uncertainty into capability and doubt into conviction. Fear often convinces people that failure is the end. That is the lie. Failure is not final. It is feedback. Action allows you to experiment, to learn, to adjust, and to improve. Every failure is a lesson, and every lesson moves you closer to success. Action turns fear into opportunity. It converts hesitation into progress and doubt into learning. The people who achieve the most are not those who never fail. They are those who acted despite fear, learned from mistakes, and kept moving forward. Action conquers fear because it transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Action is contagious. When you take bold steps, others see it and are inspired. Fear loses power not only over you, but over the people around you. When you act in spite of fear, you create an example of courage, determination, and resilience. Your action sends a message that fear is temporary, but progress is permanent. Action builds momentum not only for yourself, but also for your environment. Fear shrinks when action spreads because courage inspires courage. Action also teaches responsibility. When you act, you take ownership of your life. You stop waiting for someone else to do it, waiting for permission, waiting for luck. You recognize that your results are determined by your efforts, your choices, and your willingness to confront fear. Fear cannot dominate when you embrace responsibility because responsibility demands action. Action shifts the focus from obstacles to solutions, from worry to strategy, and from fear to empowerment. Action is not about reckless impulsivity. It is about deliberate courage. It is about identifying the things that matter most, understanding the risks, and moving forward despite uncertainty. Fear will always be there, but deliberate action ensures that it does not stop you. Every step you take, no matter how small, chips away at fear. Every decision to act reinforces your power and your ability to shape your life. Action conquers fear because it transforms energy from hesitation into results, from anxiety into growth, and from doubt into achievement. The ultimate truth is that fear is unavoidable, but inaction is optional. You cannot remove fear entirely, but you can choose how you respond. You can let fear control you, or you can let action control fear. Every person who has achieved greatness has felt fear, hesitated, doubted themselves, and questioned their path. But what separates them from everyone else is that they acted anyway. Action is the antidote. Action is the weapon. Action is the key to conquering fear, unlocking potential, and achieving your dreams.